Good morning, everyone. I'm Rishi Jain. I work at Joe Software, and today I'm going to talk about game development the Ruby way. Oops, that's fine. All right. So I would also like to talk about a little bit more about myself. I consider myself a full stack, because I would appreciate a full stack of cash or coins, whatever, anytime. I also consider myself a senior because I believe most of you don't have any game programming experience, and I have like a couple of months on you guys, so I'm a senior. So I'm a full stack senior game programmer. All right, so let's start. So let's talk about a little bit about history of games. I'm sure it all started like this. So moving on, I believe this was the first game which was built. It's called Pinball. Any of you have played this game? Show of hands. All of you have played this game. Okay, it's a fun game. I used to play this game on my Windows machine, and it has crazy sound effects, awesome fun. Then a team of 4 programmers, I must say, they built this game called Pong. It's an arcade game, as you can see in the image. It's a huge box, and you have 2 joysticks on it and this screen. So you guys can, like 2 guys can play Pong at the same time. And it was a brilliant idea back then because they had the vision to see that people are gonna love multiplayer gaming. Unfortunately, it didn't hit it off commercially for them because there was a problem. It was a multiplayer game, so it was kind of difficult to find someone to play with you because gaming was considered dull back then. So to solve that problem, Steve Wozniak and his team built this game. It's called Breakout game. The purpose of this game is simple. You have to break the bricks all day long. So people love this game because it was a single player game, and everyone saw that okay, there was a commercial aspect to gaming also. So it really hit it off back then, and a lot of games came up after this game with similar concepts. For example, there was this game Space Invasion. There were aliens flying around, and you're the little guy at the bottom, and you have to shoot those aliens with a laser gun. So it's basically the same game with different looking, but technically it's the same game. But this was the history of gaming. But what about my history? I've been playing games all my life. So I've decided that I'm gonna play a game right here with you guys. What I have in mind is, I have played basically 3 games. So I'm gonna play a soundtrack of all of each games, and you have to guess the name of the game, and whoever guesses it correctly gets a Joe Software t-shirt. So are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? All right. So this is the first soundtrack coming up. All right, we have a hand. You were the first one. Cool. That's right. So, oops. So I have a few t-shirts. I'll give away right now. Okay, I'll give you later. Alright, so Contra was the first game I played. It was so much fun playing this game. Then this is the second game. It's very easy to identify. Oh man, I don't have so many t-shirts. Alright, so Contra is the one which I really loved. Mario was kind of boring to me, but wherever you go to school, you go to birthday parties, wherever kids were talking about this game. So, you know, I was kind of left out of conversations. So I decided that one summer that I'm gonna play this game, I'm gonna beat the crap out of that Mario guy and just get over it. So I did that. Then this is the third one. It's kind of difficult. Only the true fans would get this. All right. Yeah, that's right. All right. So I still play this game. I love this game. I still play at our office at Joe Software all day, all night, ignoring work whenever needed. So in the middle of all this, I had this crazy thought that I want to build a game. But you would ask why? I mean, playing games are fun. Why do you want to build one? So there are a couple of reasons for it. First, games are like universe. They are like ever expanding universe. So you can have all these crazy thoughts that, okay, my game will consist of this, 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 and it can keep on expanding. So, and second, I believe that games, when I am playing a game, I believe I am the puppet over there. Let's say I'm playing a game and I decide to shoot down a monkey. But I think that it's my decision to shoot down that monkey, but honestly it's the game programmer's decision to make me shoot down that monkey. So I believe it's a puppet show right there, and for once I want to be the guy controlling the strings from the top, not to be the puppet. So that's one reason. So very simply put, I want to be God, so I thought I'll build a game. That's the easiest way. And second, I love having fun. Who does not? So playing games are fun, but believe me, building games are much more fun. So let's build a game right here, but in C++ or Objective-C. Excited? Maybe not. Don't worry. We're going to build a game in Ruby. Enters Gosu. Gosu is the superhero over here. It's a 2D game development library. It was originally written in C++ by Julian and Jan. They wrote it for Ruby also. And this is the official website and the official game board. Official game board, you can upload your games, you can download other people's games, upload it, downvote it, add comments. So it's like a social network for Gosu gamers. So it would all make sense if I show you some actual games that I've built in Gosu. So this is the first game that I've built. The name is a little weird, Pop the Balloon / Car Fight. What really happened here is, it's a funny story. I started with this game in my mind that there will be cars in the game and I'll be controlling one of the cars, and then there'll be a narrow path and the enemy cars, I have to dodge the enemy cars and cross that narrow path. So it was the first game, so I was still learning the concepts of building a game. So while doing that, somehow I had this crazy thought that, okay, instead of cars I should have balloons popping around, and I should have this little pin which I'll pop the balloons. So I named my repository Car Fight, but I built Pop the Balloon. So let's play that game. It's not coming up on the screen. Weird. Kind of will work.
You can drag it there. The game gone.
I don't know. Okay, I'll quickly play that. Alright, so the concept of the game is you have like 10-15 seconds and you have these balloons passing around, and if I bring the pin, no I could not. Okay, so you have a pin and you have to pop these balloons in 15 seconds. So this was the first game that I've built. Alright. So the next game that I've built is called Dragon Eggs. The concept is again very simple. You have these eggs, the deadly dragon eggs, and you have these baskets going on, and you have to drop the dragon egg into the basket, and the baskets are moving. So but to make sure that I don't fall into the same trap again, I started off with Car Fight and ended up with Pop the Balloon. I made this drawing that I'll start with dragon egg and I'll end up with dragon egg, not Car Fight this time. So I put this up next to my computer that, okay, stay focused. So let's play Dragon Egg.
Right, resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I get it. So this is the second game I've built. Then there's another game, Captain Ruby. I've not built this game. It comes up with Gosu when you download the library. So let's play that also. All right. So it's Dave kind of a game, but it's this one is also very difficult. I somehow drop every time. Damn it. Alright. So this is the third game that I have to show. You can look at its code. It has almost all the concepts that you need to learn to build a game. So it will help. Alright. So what are the different game development considerations that you should have in your mind? First of all, you should have your story ready. That this is what the game is going to look like. This is what it's going to happen. The basic idea of the game. Then you need to have your design ready. By design, I mean the assets. The images you need, the sprites you need, or soundtracks you need. So you need to have those ready. And then the gameplay. The basic game logic, that when user presses enter, what should happen? When user uses the arrow keys, what should happen? So you should have your gameplay ready. And the only concept that you need to learn is game loop. So games are just like web. You send a request, you wait for the response, you render the response. You again send a request, you wait for the response. It's just the same thing, but a little different terminologies. So you initialize your game with all the objects that you need. Then you draw the objects on the screen. Then you update the objects. By update, I mean the positions, or could be anything, the state of the objects. Then you again draw the objects, then you again update, then you again draw, then you again update. So you do this process of drawing and updating very, very fast, so that the experience for the user of playing the game is smooth. So in Gosu, this loop runs at about 1/60th of a second. So at every 1/60 second, it will call the draw method and the update method. So these are the basic methods which you need to write while writing a game in Gosu. You have to have your initialize method, draw method, and update method. You can't change the names. It's just like Rails. Follow the conventions and you'll seem along, but if you try to configure yourself, you're gonna have a hard time. So I've decided that I'm gonna show one of the games, the code of one of the games. So let's talk about Dragon Eggs. So if you recall Dragon Eggs, there was a game window, that's the first component. Then there were eggs. Now eggs include a lot of things like the position of the eggs, the image of the eggs. They should move left and right. They should drop when I say free fall. So that's about eggs. Then you have the third component was baskets. So you had baskets coming in. They should keep moving in. They should come at random heights. And the fourth and the most important component is collision and the game logic. So when the egg drops and it falls into the basket, it should stay and move along with the basket. It should have an effect that, okay, the egg has dropped into the basket. And finally the aesthetic, the soundtrack, the game logo and stuff like that. Alright, so just remember this file. I've put on all the constants here. And for now, just look at these two values, the x parameter and y parameter. I'll explain you the use of it. So this is my game class. It inherits from Gosu window. In my initialize method, I've load the YAML file, and I call the super method, and I pass 3 parameters to it. I passed x parameter, which I showed you in the previous slide, y parameter, and a third boolean value false. So x parameter here in the game window is basically the width of my game, the width, and y parameter is the height of my game window, and the third boolean parameter false is basically like if you want the ability for the user to full screen your game window. So right now in Gosu there's a problem by setting true to the macOS, so it gives some error. So I've set that as false, and then there's this caption, so you can when the game window comes up, there's a caption at the top, the title of the game. Then Gosu also provides us various key press events, because when the user is pressing a key, there should be a way to identify what key he has pressed. So there's a method called button down. Whenever a key is released, it calls up this method and checks what key is released. And how does it check is, they have these values to this constant Gosu KB escape. KB is for keyboard. So it checks that, okay, if its user has pressed escape, just close the window. And you have you have events for values for all the keys on the keyboard, and you also have click events on the game window. So this is how you can do, and it's case insensitive. So even if you press A or caps lock A, whatever, so it catches by Gosu KB A. Then moving on to the second component, eggs. Now eggs in itself is like a small game. So you need those 3 methods here also: initialize, draw, and update. By update I mean move and drop. So this is how you initialize an egg. Egg.new, you pass self. Self here is an instance of the Gosu game window. Then you pass x coordinate and the y coordinate. So when I do that, so this is what my game window looks like. It's a little different from the regular XY graph. The origin is at the top left corner, and this way it goes the x-axis in increasing, and then the y-axis here. So when I say for initialize my egg at 400, 100, I mean x parameter 400 and y parameter 100. This is what it's going to look like. But this was just egg.new. How does those images come up there? So I've initialized an egg class, and in that initialize method I've said, okay, load this particular image, Gosu image, in the window, and I've passed the path of the file. And in the draw method I've said, draw this image at x, y, and there's another value 1. So 1 here is the z index. So if you have noticed, there was a blue background in the game window in the Dragon Eggs. So the z index is given so that the eggs come over it, not beneath it. What if you need multiple eggs? I mean, it was just one egg that I've shown right now. When you drop an egg, you need another egg to come in. So how you can do that? So just initialize an empty array, and this particular value config eggs count, I've set that as 10 for now. So 10 dot times, and I'm pushing all the new egg objects in that array, and at the end I'll draw all those eggs. So I'll call draw method on each egg object. So how do you move eggs? So moving eggs, let's say from on the x-axis, what you have to do mathematically is just if you want to move it to, if your egg is at, let's say, 0, 0, and if you want to take it to 800, so you have to do egg.x equal to egg.x plus 800, or whatever value that you want to move your egg to. So it's the same logic that I've applied here. So how do I drop eggs? Dropping eggs is simple. I just update the y parameter. So Gosu will call this particular method at every 1/60th of second. so it will keep dropping. So whenever I press space bar, I set a flag that okay, this egg is supposed to be dropping, and I keep dropping that egg. So if you look at the if block, I've said if button pressed is space, just do egg dot free fall, and it will keep falling down. And similarly in the else if and else if block, I've checked if it's the starting position of the egg, because user should not be able to move the egg left and right once it's falling down. So I've checked if it's not free fall egg, so decrease the x or increase the x depending on the key pressed. So the third component is baskets. It's the same thing really. I don't have to explain the same code. All you have to do is just randomize the y parameter also along with the x parameter. That's the only change needed. Then collision. Collision is most important for most of the games. So Gosu provides us this method distance. So you have x1, y1, x2, y2, and it finds out the distance between these two coordinates. And if it's 0, it says okay, the objects have collided. But it really matters, it really depends on the kind of game that you're building. In this particular game, I couldn't use the distance method. So I wrote my own method. I'll explain you. So this was the state when I can say the egg have collided with the basket. So if you notice, the x value of the egg is 400 and of the basket is 380. So whenever they want to be collided, whenever they have to be collided, the x value of egg should always be greater than the x value of basket. And the y value of egg should always be less than the y value of the basket. So I've written this little method and I've checked that okay, basket x should always be less than egg x, and then I've calculated the difference between those two values, and these values are in pixels. So 0, if it falls between 0 and 35, so I get that effect that okay, it has kind of fallen into the basket. So this is how you can write your own method if you don't want to use the Gosu collision objects. Then these are the resources that I've used. The documentation on Gosu page is very good. They have so many examples, you can look at that. And this was not the complete code of the game Dragon Egg, it was the small components. So if you want to look at the code, you can look at my repository Rishi Jain at GitHub. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rishi. We can take a couple of questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's a mic over there.
Thanks, Rishi. Can we pause or stop or resume the game?
Right, so there's a pause method also under Gosu. So you can pause the game, you can check if the game is in the pause state or not. There's a method called pause directly and a pause question mark to check.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
This is kind of a thing, I mean you can build multiplayer games, I've not tried that. People have built it, I really have to look at the code, I've not tried multiplayer gaming yet. But it's possible, I've played a couple of games where people have built multiplayer games.
Any other questions?
Myself. Can we install the game on the machine? I mean Windows, Linux or Mac?
Yes, so it works on all the three platforms you've mentioned. All you have to do is you have to package your game. So people have written script, there's a script called Ruby2exe for Windows. So you can package your games and it creates the exe file and you can directly install it. So you don't explicitly have to install Ruby. It packages everything inside the exe file.
Yeah. Understood. Thank you.
No.
Any other questions?
Till what level can we actually build the game?
What level? I mean,
Like, this is kind of a basic game, right?
Yeah.
Like what you build. So till what, difficult? Or if I want to build, let's say Counter-Strike, can I build it?
right. So some games, I mean, some games, I have to say that you can't build all the games using Gosu. Some games have to be written in C++, some games have to be written in the frameworks the companies have developed. There's no alternative to that. But if you want to, like, let's say, hack one night and build a game out of it, so I think it's the easiest way to do it.